My name is Alan Martin. I started in the summer of 1963 and I finished again in the spring of 2010.
Okay. And during that time, what were the different positions that you held?
I started off as a checker, mainly tallyman. Then I moved on to a shed checker, then the boot checker, which is looking after obviously the boot work, and then I became a checker foreman, and then senior checker foreman, which was overall the checkers on the deep sea end of the port. And then the company went into liquidation and I started off again as a checker.
Okay.
And that's where I ended up.
Oh, right, okay. And can you just tell me how you started in the docks, how you got the position and what age you were when you started?
I was 16 when I started. My father and uncle were working on the dock at the time, and they just brought me down in the summer of '63 and I stayed on.
Okay.
Were you very young when you started in the docks? Seems 50 years seems to be a very long career.
Yeah, well, there have been people who started 14, but people usually started young, because mainly family connection got you down there.
Okay.
So it wasn't unusual.
It wasn't unusual to start when you were 15 or 16?
No.
Okay. And is a checker exactly what it says on the tin? You check the items as they come into the port?
Yeah, or going out or in the shed or delivery. That's basically it. We did the paperwork. The dockers did the manual work.
Oh, you made sure everything was as it should be
On
on
the
dockets and that kind of thing. Thank you.
And so you talked then about your family connection with the docks. How kind of far did that go back, or what did that mean for you getting the job?
Well, getting the job mainly because my father was working for R.A. Burke it was at the time, and he was a fairly good checker, so I think just asked the bosses there would they take me on, and they did as a casual. Mm-hmm. And as far as the history goes, my grandfather worked in the B&I, and so did my father and uncle at one stage, and then they moved into the deep sea end. But that's as far back as it goes, which would be probably just pre-war, probably 1930s or that, I'd say, my grandfather started. It wouldn't be as far back as some of the other people who go back to the 1870s.
And then just in terms of then the button and its function, like you said then your dad was working there when you were working there, so did he have a button or? No,
he didn't have a button though. That's one of the funny things that crop up in the research. We got a copy of the button list for 1947, the first one, and we have it up on the site. And I just happened to be going through it there one day, and I noticed my father's name on it. You know, it was Patrick Martin, 16 North Summer Street. That's just opposite O'Connell Schools. And he was there as a button docker. But I know for a fact he never worked as a docker, or a button docker anyway. But it's one of these little mysteries why he didn't. Well, most people took the button when it was given to them. So for some reason he didn't take it up, but his name is there.
And what was, what's it mean then to have a button as opposed to not having a button, do you think?
More security. I mean, at the start, from what I can gather, nearly everyone who wanted a button could get one that was involved. You know, you had to be actually working there. But I think all those who were there more or less got one.
Okay.
But that gave them security then, and that they had to be picked first before anyone else.
And that was during the reads, was it? They were picked?
Oh yeah, that's nearly all the work. The only people who would be permanent then would be the docker foreman and the checkers. You always had permanent checkers. Mm-hmm. Because they had to, stuff would go into a shed and stay there. So you had to have people there all the time.
And then bar security, was there any kind of other issues between the people that had like buttons and people that didn't have buttons? Was there any kind of issues there, or?
Well, not possibly at the start, but as time went on, it got to be a big issue because the button dockers made the same mistake a lot of people make, in that they were trying to close the door behind the last person in. And that was okay when there was, say, enough work for 500 button dockers. But when there came to be enough work for 1,200 people, that meant you had 600 or 700 non-buttons to make up for the shortage. And so they began to be outnumbered. And that's where it really got to be a bit messy. And lucky enough, I think if the decasualisation hadn't come in '72, that could have been a big issue. That could have got quite nasty.